G'day guys, welcome back to another Sam Young 4x4 episode. My name is Alek. Today I'll be taking over the channel. We're hooking into the GQ. It's not behind me, the 80's behind me. I'm about to shuffle around the cars and we'll get stuck straight into it. In true Sam fashion, doesn't know how to work on cars, so here I am, coming to fix it for him. If you don't know who I am, my name is Alek. I have a 76 series Land Cruiser. I'm sure you've seen it on the channel. I've done heaps with Sam, including TFI and a few other little bits and pieces. I'm sure you'll see plenty more of me. I'm always floating around. So we're getting the GQ ready. Needs a few things. Got to trim the flares up because they're scrubbing pretty bad. The fuel sender, I don't think the wiring's done for it. I've got to drop the tank and have a look at that. And we're going to look at the tacho. Now, I've been doing a little bit of research into this and going TD into a TB with the cluster change could potentially need to either run a Dakota Digital or we're going to have to, I don't know, work that out. So we're going to cross that bridge when we get to it. I'm going to leave that for last. But for now, I'm going to shuffle all these cars around and yeah, we'll go from there. Right, so in true Sam fashion, he's given me a set of keys, but do you think they work? Nope, absolutely not. So I've had to break in like a friggin' Neanderthal. And if you can see behind me, I've literally set up a broom with another broomstick. And I reckon it's just given me enough height on the roof to get the cars out because I'm gonna have to shuffle them around. Oh, thanks, Sam. There's nothing I love more than starting my day with just an absolute stitch up. So I think another one of my favorite things about coming to work for Sam is that nothing ever works. Thank God for iTech World for the jump packs because without these, we'd be doing not a lot. Anyway, I've got to shuffle the cars around, get the GQ out. It probably won't start either. Then I have to move the 80, get that out of the way, we'll swap them around, and then we'll get stuck straight into working on the GQ. I hate you, Sam. Holy! This poor 80 series. Oh. So that's what we're eliminating today, is all of those noises. All right. Yeah, gonna start marking all the flares. We'll get a nice line, follow the body lines, work out where's scrubbing, where's not, trim what we need to, and then yeah, that's step one done. Second thing will be dropping the tank, pulling out dropping the tank enough to get my hand in to feel if it's just a plug or whether I drop it out and I have to repin it and do like a Deutsch or something, but we'll cross that bridge when we get to it, yay. All right, so first things first, obviously I'm having a look at where it's scrubbing. Now I can see clearly on the tire, there's been some wear marks, but getting underneath, I can see it's been rubbing on the actual guard itself. It's pushed the inner guard out here and I can see where the wrap's been taken off on the bottom of this flare. So probably gonna have to trim this flare like up and around and follow a bit of a body line and maybe even get under here and take a bit out of the bottom of the actual guard itself. Now, the most important thing for me right now is not to burn the wrap or ruin any of the wrap and sticker job. So best way to do that, I've found, pretty well with anything as well, including paint, is get yourself a roll of masking tape, mask off the areas that you're gonna be cutting, go ham with it, like don't be shy. Obviously, when you run the grinder blade through, the tape will hold a lot of the material down and yeah, it'll just give you a nice clean finish. So this will be your best friend. Sam doesn't have a Sharpie, but lucky for me, I carry one with me everywhere I go because you just never know when you might have to give out a signature at the pub. So I'm gonna go get the Sharpie out of the car, start masking this up, have a bit of a look. I like to draw the lines on first, see how it's gonna look. And if it looks sick, hit it with the grinder and cut it, and don't be scared because they're still making these. And it's not my car, so see if I care. All right, cool. So yeah, you can see what I was talking about. So I've taped up the guard, the flares, and I've taken my good signature Sharpie and drawn out what I believe I'm gonna need to take out. So I could take the coils out, do it through a full cycle onto the bumps and really work it out. But for now, I think this will be good, probably more than enough. So gonna need to take some out of the bottom of the guard, which I've got down here. And then it meets the corner of the flare, because I want to try to keep that bottom flare mount if I can, just to keep like the structural integrity of the flare. I don't want it flapping around. I don't want to lose this mount, the next one's up too far, and you know, you got that last little piece that's just swinging. So try and keep that if I can. And then, yeah, I want to try to bring it up nice and high. I've got a few other marks here, which you can see, but I don't think that's going to be enough. So I'll take it off up to here. I'll also measure this so that way I can do it the same on the other side. Yeah, so I'll take it off up to here, and then along this edge, I'm just gonna run some pinch weld. It'll just look nice and clean and tidy, and yeah, then we should have no scrubbing issues in the front. Once I've done the front, I'll move on to the back with pretty well exactly the same technique. Tape it all up, work it all out, have a look and go from there. Right, so passenger side is done as well. Exactly the same thing. So I've measured with trusty tape. I measured up exactly the same as the other side, and then followed that same radius and body line down. So what I'm gonna do now is just tear the tape along here. I'll pull this flare off, and then I'll just trim it on the ground. Only because I think the scrubbies might get in the way of me running the grinder through. The bottom part of the guard shouldn't be too bad, but yeah, I'm a bit worried that the scrubbies are gonna interfere on this little corner here. So I think it's like 6 Phillips head bolts, and yeah, I'll rip that off, chop it up, and yeah, we'll see how it looks. Should be good. So you'd think in this really nice SP toolbox, you would assume there'd be a grinder. No. SP, please send Sam a grinder, because he's given me this. He's given me this Azito plug into the wall. It's not even a 5-inch, it's like a 3-inch grinder, and I am so worried that this thing's gonna take either a finger or a toe off. So please, SP, send him a grinder. Pray for me that I don't lose a limb. All right, so now I've got to use this Azito that is terrifying me. It literally is gonna pull the friggin' skin off a rice pudding. Also, I've only got these goggles, so at least I know that my eyes will be safe. As for everything else, please pray for me. Righto, flare off, flare rubber off, I should say. And then, yeah, I don't know, I guess we'll just hook in. All right, so after fighting the grinder, we've done it. So I've taken the edge off both of these and just thrown a little bit of pinch weld on there. So looks nice and tidy. Yeah, just cleans up those edges so you don't just have like that, I don't know, an exposed finish, I guess. Next, I will cut the guards, which is terrifying. But cut the guards, trim it up to suit, same thing. Pinch weld along that edge, and then I've also got to tuck the inner guard in as well, which you guys will see in a second. All right, so really quickly, I just hold the flare up to double check this body line here, make sure I'm happy with it, the way it's gonna look. I am. I think it looks really nice. I'll take this guard out to where I've got the line. Same again, throw a bit of pinch weld on it, and then I'll tuck the inner guard away. So I'll pull the screw out of the inner guard here so it's a bit loose, which you can see there. So yeah, I'll run the grinder through, take that out, and then we should be sweet. Looking pretty good. So far, so good. I'm very happy with it. Yeah, just need a better grinder. I'm really working with what I've got here. Right, cool. So this was here. It's no longer here. So I've cut out that bit of the guard that is gonna need to go. I'm gonna put some paint on this I'll just grab a paint pen out of the toolbox, put some paint on it so it doesn't rust, a bit of pinch weld, and then that should almost line up perfectly with that flare when it goes on. Now on the inside here, I will screw that back on, and then we're just gonna tuck this back up on the inside and zip tie it up. So, all right, so driver's side done, looks $1 million. I'm super happy with it. Gonna rinse and repeat this side. So cut this guard out, take the inner guard out, push it out of the way, trim it up, bit of paint, bit of pinch weld. Looks $1 million. Then we're moving on to the back. It looks like the back's gonna be a little bit easier than the front. I'm not gonna have to pull the whole flare off. I can just trim essentially a straight line up, like a nice curve. And then same thing again, I'll just pinch weld it, make it look good. Anyway, we're gonna get this done, hook in, get the rears done, and then we'll move on to the tank. I am running out of time. It is 3:45. I'm gonna drop that tank, check the sender, get that working, and then probably wrap it up. It's been a very big day for me. I had a big day this morning. I started here at about lunchtime, but get that done. The tacho, we'll look into that, treat it like a mirror, look into it. But I have been doing a little bit of Googling. I don't think it's gonna be as easy as what I expected. By the looks of it, Dakota Digital is probably the best way to do it, going from diesel to petrol dash, just because there's so many variances. And yeah, I mean, a TD doesn't rev to 6 grand. And if it did, Lord help it. But yeah, anyway, let's rip in, get this done, get the tank out, sort that out, and we'll get everything happening. Let's go. Holy mind my language, I just had that grinding disc explode on me. Luckily I was wearing my safeties and like was paying attention, but I saw it wobbling, ducked my head. It's like skimmed the top of my head. I have an egg, but it exploded in the guard. There's a little bit there. I felt it hit my head and then it exploded on the wall, and I was like, so yeah, always be careful when you are using a grinder. I knew this grinder was friggin' deadly. So, oh, my heart is racing. Always wear your safety gear. Don't ever second guess anything. Oh. Anyway, now I've got to finish this job off. Well, I have to go change my undies. Okay, so after a quick change of undies and reevaluating my whole life decision, we're moving on to the rear. So same thing again. This time I'm gonna tape up just the bottom of the guard because it's not actually rubbing too bad in the rear. So hopefully I can just take it up along this line. So yeah, that's the body line that I was talking about. So I drew it in. This was the first one, wasn't really happy with it. Thought I'd bring it up a little bit higher on the second one. And you can see with the tire on up travel, that second line's probably gonna be a little bit more beneficial anyway. So yeah, that's sort of how I do it. I sit back, I work it out. There's still a bit of flare along the bottom, so the pinch weld will come along and I'll just take out what I need, which is this section here. And yeah, it should look good. And then same thing again, I run pinch weld down on the inside of here like I did in the front. All right, so this side's a little bit messier. It's a lot harder to get the grinder in. Might even have to take the wheel off to get to what I need. But just gonna tidy up down the bottom here and then a little bit more at the top, just up here. And yeah, Bob's your uncle. Then we're pretty much good to go. We'll get some pinch weld on these rear flares. If there's any more, I think we could be out. Don't quote me. But yeah, once these are done, we will look at getting into the tank. So hopefully I can just drop it down enough that I can get up in there. I think Sam reckons it could be a plug, but Sam also reckons that the roller door works, so can't trust a word he says. Hopefully it's as easy as just plugging it in, but we shall see. All right, so that
small wiring you can see there is the factory loom, which has 5 wires coming out. And this wiring that you can see here is off the sender. So what I'm gonna have to do is splice the tank wiring into the tank wiring that somebody else has done. I've got to splice into the factory loom, but there's 5 wires in the factory loom and only 4 out of the tank. Riddle me that. Anyway, it's almost 6 o'clock. I am very, very hungry. So I'm gonna go to the pub, get myself a feed, maybe have a beer, and then we're gonna come back and I guess we're gonna drop the tank and get this done. So not very excited for that, if I'm gonna be completely honest with you, but look, got to get it done and yeah, we'll see how we go. But off to the pub, I need a feed. I am starving.
Righto, so back from the pub. I've gone to go look for the tools I need to terminate the wires. It looks like Sam doesn't have any crimps in the toolbox, which is a little bit unfortunate because I had all the wires spliced ready to go, but it's all good. We will hook straight back in very shortly. I'm gonna head home tonight, have an early night's rest, grab the tools I need tomorrow, and I'll come back. And I'll hook in, I'll get everything done. We'll have the fuel sender working, and then we can look at the tacho as well, which will be good. Then everything on the dash will be working, the car will be ready for engineering, and we can go from there. But for tonight, I've had enough. So this is me, I'm tapping out.
Okay, now where Alek got to, I'm not entirely sure. I think you would have just seen him trimming all our guards and flares up to get the GQ clearance, I guess, to keep the engineer happy. You'll see there's an empty car trailer. Now, this has been all about running around and getting everything ready for engineering. So we had to get the fuel tank hooked up and the bloody tacho working. That was meant to be Alek's job, which he didn't get around to doing, but that's okay. He's trimmed the flares. Now, there was a couple of other bits and pieces we needed. 3 other things that four actually, that the engineer wasn't going to be happy about. We've just dropped the GQ off at Caloundra Exhaust Centre. They are going to bang a muffler into our ESA system for us. We never got around to putting in an overflow, so we've just got a universal overflow for now, which is going to hopefully get us through the engineering process until Max or Casey can weld us up like a nice alloy overflow bottle. We went to our mate Harley's last night and swapped out the 35s on beadlocks for a set of just like little 33s on steelies that didn't poke out the guards or anything like that. And I think that's pretty much it. The last thing we had to do was get a new windscreen. We'll go pick up the GQ this afternoon. Tomorrow morning is engineering, so hopefully we can film a little bit of that process. It's all getting done through Superior Engineering because it's obviously their Off-Road Pro 4-inch kit. And let's see how we go. Once we get the GQ back from the muffler shop, we'll put this in. This is going to be cable ties, hopes and dreams. We'll run you through everything we had to change, and then we're going to be at Superior in Burpengary at like 6 a.m. tomorrow, so it'll be an early start, but that's okay. Let's see how the muffler shop goes. Be right back shortly. Okay, so we've got the big GQ back from the muffler shop. Now I'm going to climb under here and hopefully you can see what we've been doing. This is basically just what we had to do. Now, this thing is pretty much as completely, entirely well built as you'll see on any GQ freaking ever. But there was a couple of bits and pieces that we needed to change from how it was. So obviously when we were at HD Automotive, we just whacked this straight through system on so that we could get it on the dyno. We dropped past Meredith Metalworks. They did our little 4-inch lobster back dumpy out the side, but after speaking to the engineers whilst we were just recently away, they said, yeah mate, we're gonna need a muffler. Doesn't really matter what muffler that is. So because we had a fair bit of real estate in this sort of center section, like this is where a muffler would normally go, we've just put a little Growl Performance muffler in there. 3-inch. So hopefully, let's see if I can get out from under this car. Hopefully that is enough to keep the engineer happy. Moving on, we can see we've got the little 33s. Obviously before this we had 35 by 12.5 R17s on our ROH Zulo rims. Well, I mean, that's the setup there, right? But they poked a little bit too much, and there's been a little bit of, I guess, confused information on the internet about the Superior Off-Road Pro kits. So they can't do them with the 35s anymore. Plus, our ROHs were set up as a beadlock. So we had to go and swap these on. They're a 33, -12. They sit pretty well flush with the guards once it's all been aligned. Now, the only other thing that Superior are going to have to do is a little bit of bloody suspension tweaking. And I say that because I think we got sent like GU Ute sway bars and a couple of other bits and pieces which just didn't work in our GQ. So we've got it all booked in there tomorrow, and we're going to see, hopefully it's all fingers crossed, brand new windscreen which we got fitted in Sydney, which is super top G. Now the last thing on my list is in here. Now it is crazy dusty. Okay, so before engineering, we've got our billet fuel filter bracket run over there. Just need to put a buddy bolt in between that. Wow, and in there. Otherwise, we've got our air box. Everything is all looking sweet. We've got our breather all hooked up. We've got our vac pump and vac canister, our washer bottle. This is the only thing that was a little bit of a question mark. We needed to get a overflow. So, because we're all about doing things properly here, we're obviously going to be using cable ties to hold this in, and hopefully the engineer doesn't have a drama with that. So, let's see. Oh wait, how does the new canopy look actually? Woo! Sheesh. Now, this, hopefully, gonna be what we need. The way I chose this one was I walked into Repco and said, hey, I need a universal overflow bottle. And he then said, hey mate, I've only got one, so good luck. So yeah, $70 later, here we are. It's I don't know what car it's for, if any car. Universal overflow tank, DOT UNI 10. Instructions, don't need them. It's convenient because it's tiny, so that is kind of helpful. And did actually come with some bits and pieces that might be helpful, so that's kind of good. I mean, the shitty bracket it comes with is not going to be helpful, but it has got some hose, so hopefully that's going to be enough to just hook it up. Here's what I'm thinking. That's pretty much it. I'm not going to lie to you guys. It's, yeah. It's sort of, it's a bit of an odd shape, to be fair. Minimum height. So I think it's meant to go at an angle like that. So I think what we'll do is we'll put it in the corner here, like that. We'll cable tie it to the inner guard, or potentially put it underneath our aircon line here. Yeah, I reckon like that. Off there, down to there. Bada bing, bada boom. How much fucking simpler do you want to get? Let's quickly do that. Boom. That's sort of sat real nice in there. We're just going to go chuck some demineralized water in that, which is exactly what we're running in the radiator of this, as per the request of Corey Donnelly, the magician that built this gorgeous engine. So yeah, that should be everything. We've got factory lights, horn works, overflow, no leaks, no dramas. So fingers freaking crossed it passes with flying colours. Okay, GQ dropped off here at Superior. Now, they've got a fair bit of stuff to do to it before Coolco can come in and engineer it. We should hopefully get an answer and hopefully get the car back this afternoon. So yeah, we'll see how we go.
Soon after.
What a fucking sucking of a fucking show of a fucking day that has been. Anyway, yeah. Empty trailer. GQ. No engineering, no rego. Annoying. We got Morton booked. What's today? Tuesday? Morton on Saturday. Was gonna be super pumped to take this big thing, but she didn't pass. And the worst thing is, I'm fucking frustrated, but it's my own fault. So let's quickly talk about that. Okay, now I don't blame Superior or the engineer or anyone for this, because you modify these big old trucks post-rego and you sort of need them to be immaculate or you're going to have a hard time. We slapped this suspension kit in under this car on the floor of the old shed in like 2 days with Max and very little instructions or ideas. And we basically couldn't get some of the kit done. We took it into Superior today, hoping that they would be able to finish off some of the installation part and sides of things and then get it signed off. But they were too busy, didn't have the time, and therefore couldn't sign it off. We need to do a couple of things: rebleed the brakes, fit the sway bars. We need to remove and reinstall the shocks and just reroute how we've got the remote reservoirs. And then we need to put the rear coil tower brace kit in, which is a fucking dog of a job in a wagon with the cab on. So I don't really know how we're going to manage that, but that is everything that we need to do now to then take it back and hopefully get it signed off. Annoying, but it is what it is. This is just the way these things go. At least it's a fairly short list. We would have needed to get the muffler and the windscreen done anyway, so it is what it is. And then once that's all done, we can take it back and hopefully then sign it all off, and this thing will be fully road legal in Queensland. 4 inches of lip, the 5-link, the long arms, the big shocks, GU diffs, the widened track, and all that stuff. So, frustrating day of running around for nothing, but it was basically essential to find out what we were lacking. Anyway, that's going to basically wrap this episode up. Not quite the ending I was hoping for, but it is what it is. Make sure you subscribe, make sure you comment, make sure you like this video. It helps a heap. If you like having Alek on the channel, make sure you drop a comment as well. And hopefully we'll get this big fucking turd regoed and engineered soon, because I just want to thrash this in the bush and on the beach and go camping. Peace out, baby.